All right, guys, what's going on? We got Braydon Carter here. This guy is a legend. Not a lot of people know him yet, but I'm telling you, I know he's going places. So this guy is a stud. We worked together for another solar company in the executive leadership for a while, and I got the privilege of knowing you, dude. It's been amazing. So Braydon has made it to quarter. He's huge into public speaking, coaching, personal development, mindset. This guy knows how to break through anybody from any doubts or limiting beliefs that they have and completely turn that individual around. And it's a gift. He's done it with me knowing what he's doing. He's still brought me to tears and broke through with me. So it's a privilege to have you on the show, man.
Thanks so much, Nick. That was super kind of you. Good introduction. Thank you.
Yeah. He has spoken all over the world to Australia, Tokyo. He's spoken in audiences in front of over 3,000 people.
Yeah.
My mentor, Chris Crone, has also been a mentor for Braydon. So we have that same connection. So anyways, stoked to have him on. This guy has also, I'm excited for the salespeople community to get to know like your mindset on breakthrough, on limiting beliefs, on like the whole struggle, because the hardest part of sales is mental,
right?
You know? And so what's your take on why salespeople struggle mentally?
You know, that's a really good question. It's funny. I have an experience that come to mind. I used to do some coaching for the company that we worked at. And I obviously won't use names and we'll use confidentiality, but I was working with a particular sales rep and we were talking about his journey with sales and being a leader. And it all came down to something that happened in his childhood. Like it didn't even have anything to do with his sales training or the way that he knew the knowledge or any of that kind of stuff. Like at the end of the day, it all came back to something that happened earlier. And something that's very fascinating about the mindset is that we hold on to things for a long, long time. The brain is designed to hold things. And sometimes we just don't know that those things that we're holding on to are actually holding us back.
Do you feel like, so I feel like those things from the past can pull you down or they can lift you up, even the negative experiences, you know?
Yeah.
Have you seen people be able to turn that around?
Yeah. You know what? I think that's exactly true. And I think there's a spectrum of energy, and I wish I had the chart with me, but on the spectrum of energy, you look at like fear and sadness and anger, and it's on this lower level of energy. And then you look at like forgiveness, happiness, peace, joy. And then it goes all the way up to the highest of energies, and they're on a higher scale. So what's fascinating is even with myself, I've had experiences where I've had people tell me that I'm not enough or I can't do something. And I had this mentality of like, well, I'll prove them wrong, which is great. Right. And I think it's a great starting point because you're at least generating energy at all to be able to go move something forward. But where it gets even more powerful is once you can switch that energy from lower energy into higher energy. So rather than just, I'm going to prove them wrong, for me, myself, it's, well, I don't want to prove people wrong anymore. I just want to show people what's possible. So I'm taking the same memory, same experience, but instead of having a negative energy that pushes me forward, it's a positive energy.
So is there a correlation with that in like driving more success?
I would say that, I don't know if success is the right word, but fulfillment. Because
that's great. Yeah.
A lot of times when people get to that level of success, at least the people that I've worked with, if it's out of a place of anger, frustration, or negative energy, they get there and they're like, man, was this even worth it?
Yeah.
But if they had a more positive energy, like, man, I was able to bless those haters.
Yeah.
A lot of times being family and friends and they didn't even know it, I was able to show them what's possible and be an example rather than just a, hey, suck it attitude because I'm here and you're not.
Dude, that's gold.
Yeah.
That's gold. Okay, explain to people what breakthrough is.
So breakthrough, it's really interesting. So Chris Crone, the person that we're both familiar with, he came up with this simplified process, but really it came from Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
So Tony Robbins has this process that he calls interventions, where he sits down with anybody. I was just listening to him over the weekend, and basically at a very, very young age, Tony Robbins says, put me in front of any single person, I'll help them overcome anything. And the experience that he shared is somebody that was terrified of snake phobias for 10 years, a therapist is like, you're kidding yourself. There's no way. Brought this girl. And by the end of the conference, Tony Robbins was holding a snake in front of her face and she was fine.
Wow.
And to break it all down, that's the power of breakthrough. But all it is simply is being able to recognize what's the limiting belief? Why does it exist at all? And then genuinely just changing your perception to be able to come up with a higher, more positive belief. So for this girl, all it was, in Tony Robbins' example, is just switching that snakes aren't scary or deadly like she thought of, because of a dream. They're just a thing. And sure, it's still scary, but it's not where she's like foaming out of her mouth scary. And so it can also be broken down into the simplest form where you're telling yourself you're not enough and you're able to find reasons, first, where it came from, but then second, what's going to work better for you in the first place.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I love that. So dude, I remember, so we piloted like coaching and like this breakthrough in like in-house within the company.
Right.
And so you got to do this with salespeople, which was fascinating. And I know it worked.
Yes. Yeah.
Without giving stories, how does it work for salespeople? Where do you take them from? And then how does, cause they hit a rut, right? They're struggling with something. They call you. It's like 911 call. Like, dude, I'm hating my life. Like, I feel like crap. And then they call you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where do you take it from there?
What's interesting is I'll answer the question with the question is like, why do most young people get into sales to begin with?
Okay.
And I would say a majority of them, they're trying to build up income so that they can go do something later on. Okay. So for a lot of sales guys, sales isn't the outcome.
Right.
Like they're not wanting to do sales for 40 years. They just know sales brings in the most amount of money over any job ever. And they want to really capitalize on that project to be able to, or that opportunity to be able to go invest or get into real estate or whatever they want to do down the road. So the fascinating thing is when sales reps would break down, very, very few times would we actually do a breakthrough about sales. And it would always be a breakthrough about them, their identity, who they are, how they're treating their family, how they're showing up in their daily life, if they feel good about themselves. Because I think so often we while doing sales, and the little experience that I had is when you're on the curb, you're not beating yourself up because somebody slammed the door in your face. You're beating yourself up because of what it meant. Yeah. And I can coach somebody all day long. Just get up, just go to the next door, just go to the next door, just go to the next door. But I'm not solving the problem.
Yep, exactly. Did I always say that you have to take care of yourself? Like in sales, we are pouring into other people. Like we're literally pouring our energy, our time in other people, and we get so much rejection and feedback back. Where if we're pouring from an empty cup, it's hard to maintain a high level of enthusiasm, confidence, energy, and thus sell at a high volume.
Totally.
And so for me, the pouring into the cup is personal development. And there's some that it doesn't matter who you are, where you live, what race you are, ethnicity, gender, like physical fitness is one of them that I'm a big proponent of helping you mentally and investing in yourself mentally, whether you're reading a book, listening to a podcast, setting your goals and executing and improving on that. Whether or not you get sales or not, like you're still growing so that the day could go to crap with the sales and the prospecting, but you still won. That's amazing. And it's also, to kind of go on a tangent here with this, Braydon.
No, please. Yeah.
For salespeople, they one of the biggest enemies for a salesperson, and this is not just a salesperson, anybody in a negotiation. If you are in a desperate situation, trying to negotiate something where you need the other person to do something, or you're desperate for them, you are already losing. You've already lost. And so what's great about this aspect too, is if taking care of yourself, you don't feel desperate. You're not there to take, you're there to give. And it's amazing when you have that confidence and energy where you could be at the table with somebody and they're not even thinking if they're going to buy or not. Like they could not even be interested in buying. And the sales rep, the phenomenal sales rep, is not even worried about it.
Yep.
And what happens is all of a sudden that person becomes curious now. It's wild.
No, I would totally agree. And what's fascinating with that too is your mindset becomes different, because I think and again, mindset is where I'm more skilled at and where I've spent more of my time. But in the little time that I have done sales, even right now, I'm still working with like big franchises and sales acquisitions and all this kind of stuff. And when I walk into a deal and talk to a business owner and I say to them, like, listen, dude, like, I don't really care if you take the deal or not. This is genuinely like just what we're hoping to give you. And if that fits your needs, great. If it doesn't, great. And like that right off the rip, they're just like, oh geez, like he's going to walk away.
It's like pressure. Yeah. Pressure's off. Yeah.
Right. And I've noticed 9 times out of 10, they'll at least call back and be like, hey, like it doesn't work for this way. And it at least gives me a chance to continue the conversation. Or they'll be like, well, geez, like I just really like how calm and collective and cool you were. Yeah. And let's do business.
I love that.
So
that's amazing. So let's talk about this. You've seen a lot of guys struggle with different things in sales. And what's the most common excuse, I guess you'd say, that they have?
The most common excuse.
Like, is it, hey, I just not feeling motivated? Is it, I just, I feel beat up? Is that just, what do you feel like it could be?
Yeah, this is an interesting way to answer the question, because I don't think that I noticed necessarily an excuse that was common, but I noticed a pattern that was common.
Okay.
And the pattern that was common is comparison. that
thief of all joy.
Right.
Yeah.
And so these sales reps would go in and see somebody that's done X amount of accounts over this, and they're like, well, I just can't do that. Or I just don't pick up the training well enough. Or I think a really big excuse is, and it depends on the sales organization that you're with, but a really big excuse is like, well, I just don't know if I want to be like that. And it's like, it's fine, but if you don't want to be like that, then who do you want to be?
Like one of the top salesperson, or like one of the sales trainers, or somebody in the company, or
yeah, I just mean there's like somebody will come and teach a sales philosophy and so it doesn't resonate with somebody.
Right.
They don't like the way that that philosophy is.
Yeah.
And so rather than finding out what their personal philosophy is, they just give up. And so I would say comparison and then disagreeing and just being like, well, I guess if I disagree, it's not going to work, rather than being like, wait a second, what if I could use my own sales philosophy and do this, this, and this. And one of the things that we were talking about even before we just started is we were talking about a big guy in the sales space, and you're like, I have to be careful. He definitely has his nuggets, and I pull from those nuggets, but I have to be careful. I sift through his information. I think some people, some sales reps, and just in general, just people in general, don't choose to sift. They just choose to disregard and move on.
Avoid it completely.
Right.
Dude, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
Such a valid point. Dude, in like, you could not agree with somebody's philosophies or how they live their life, but in some way that person is superior to you. And so it does take extra humility. Now there is a level where I believe, proximity, you have to guard yourself. You have to chase proximity to certain people, but some you have to be cautious with. And to certain levels, like at a business conference, I'm okay getting proximity to somebody who I wouldn't be hanging out with like for dinner. You know what I mean? So that's great advice.
When I think with that too, like if you don't like them, why don't you like them? And I think sometimes we don't like people because we see ourselves in them, but because we don't even acknowledge why we don't like them, then we're not collecting the information to know what we want to do different.
Interesting.
And so I think that having people that disagree with us, and I don't want to get political here, but I think the biggest problem in this nation is we say they're wrong, they're evil, but we don't even understand why we disagree with them. We just put a label on them.
Yeah, so true.
It's finding why we disagree with them and then being able to further discover for ourselves what it is that we do believe in. That's a form of self-development. You don't even have to be mentored by them. You're being mentored by being curious about them.
So here's a question for you. Okay. So you've had a completely different perspective, like in the sales world, like leading and training and helping sales reps, right? What do you feel like are some of the blind spots from an outsider's perspective, from like a coach perspective, that a lot of salespeople, they think they know the problem is this, but you see a different perspective where it's actually something different, if that's the case, like blind spots?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think the answer is, and you were just talking about this a second ago. I love, Nick, how involved you are into personal development. And what I mean by that is you take care of your health, you take care of your mindset, you take care of your relationships and all of these different things. And the reason, one, I wanted to acknowledge you for how much effort and time you put into that. But two, to answer your question, what most salespeople think is the issue, and then they try to fix the issue, and what the actual issue is. This is totally a case study, and this was only correct as of May of 2023. Okay. I don't know since then how things have gone, but I ran a blitz for the company that we worked at collectively. I brought 15 people out. Okay. I'd only been on one blitz ever. Zero sales experience. I had no business leading a team of 15 people. That today, well, at least as of May of last year, was the most successful sales blitz that company had. We had zero sales training and only mindset training.
Interesting.
That's it. And so I think so often it's like, fix the way that you say this, fix the way that you say that, fix the way that you say this, which is great. And I think it's beautiful. And the micro distinctions change everything. But if you're operating at a 5 level of character in person and you're trying to make micro distinctions to be a 9.9, it's not going to change until you change your character. Do you have the energy on the doors? Are you optimistic? Are you happy? Do you look a good certain way? Do you take care of your hygiene in the way that you look? I think once you focus on your mindset and the way that you show up as a person, then the micro distinctions matter. I think way too often we focus on the micro distinctions first. Yeah,
that's massive, dude. That's so huge. There's so many gold nuggets to unpack there. It's amazing. The like how you say things or what you want to say. We always say it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Right.
But even more important than what and even how is why. And then also who. Like, who are you? Like, you're the spokesman. Like, we are, as salespeople, we are walking, talking billboards. You don't even need, like, if you were to compare something like two people, I'll use my buddy Brock. He looks like Superman. You take Brock and you take some other random sales dude, you put him in a room from the start. Okay. Brock has a massive advantage just because of who he is and the discipline he's executed to look the way he looks, right? It's a very buff, jacked, good looking dude.
Right.
But he's, but you see it, right? You see the discipline. And so, yeah, there's so many advantages there. And then not to mention the energy and integrity also goes in with this too, Braydon, where that's part of character, personal development. That's something I've really pushed to completely change and revamp and perfect over the last 3 years. And I've seen it make a massive difference, because salespeople always feel like a big problem salespeople have, whether they realize it or not, is they feel kind of cringy or bad about a deal, or they feel like they have to kind of omit something and hide it, not disclose it. But when you are really sold on something, so step one, get sold, find out why you're selling it before you sell it. If you have that conviction, you don't need to hide anything. And then, so that it's a personal integrity. Yeah. And then outside of that alone, of like what you communicate with people and like actually following through on it, there's a personal integrity aspect I've learned myself where, hey, if I say I'm going to set a goal to make $1 million and I fall short and do 750K, that's a lack of personal integrity, because I've set the standard and now I don't believe myself when I make commitments. Where it's much better off if I set the goal at 700, smash it, do 750, because then it builds positive energy and reinforce that, where you could even make $750,000 and still have negative momentum and energy.
Totally.
And it's because of this character you're talking about, the integrity, personal integrity.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. I'm a big believer of.
Well, I just love what you were saying too, especially you said, well, I set this goal and I need to hit it, or there's going to be a lack of integrity. I think breaking that down into a micro distinction, one of the rules that I made for myself, and I am not perfect at this rule and I won't pretend like I am, but if I set the alarm, I wake up. I don't press snooze, because if I'm pressing snooze, that's the first sign in the day that's saying I'm not actually committed to what I said I was going to do yesterday.
I like it.
So I can set my alarm for 10 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't care, whatever. But if I set the alarm, I wake up.
I love that.
And so whether it's the alarm or whether it's a journal or whether it's going to the gym, start collecting evidence of I listen to myself and I have integrity with myself.
Dude, it's so powerful. This is gold right here, guys. This is gold because this stuff compounds. And when I started selling, dude, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Yeah, I had developed myself and who I was with a lot of these attributes, and I crushed it. And I was convinced, my managers and bosses said, dude, you picked this little honeypot in this little town. Like, dude, you're milking it. Little Valley was the area, California. They had me convinced it was the area. Come back the next year, do double that. And they're like, okay, it's not the area, it's Nick.
Well, I think the fun thing with that, especially, and I agree, it totally was you. And the reason being is, I have felt integrous with myself. I have felt confident in myself. And I've gone to a door personally, knocked on and said, you don't want me here. I know that. I'm totally annoying. I'm annoying you right now. I'm just trying to save some people money.
Which
you
is a
could totally kick
pitch.
me out. Right. Horrible sales pitch. And I get invited inside.
Look at that.
And it's just because I'm showing up and I'm being authentic and I'm confident in myself.
Yep.
Horrible sales pitch.
Yeah. Now, if you combine that with good strategy, right? Honest
You'll
strategy,
crush it.
It's even better. Yeah. It's a little exponential. Like that little difference of like 5% makes it actually like a 50% difference because of compounding.
Well, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but Sean Callaghy, another guy that we've been mentored by, he talks about the micro distinctions and the 99 versus the 99.
Yes, he does.
0.9.
Yeah.
And the thing that's crazy is if you're in the 50th percentile, you're over the 50th percentile making $100,000 a year. If you're in the 90th percentile, you're making $400,000 a year. Crazy. If you're in the 99th percentile, you're making like $3 or $4 million a year. If you're in the 99.9 percentile, you're making $50 to $100 million a year. If you take a look at the difference between all of those micro distinctions, the difference between 99 and 99.9 is over $30 million.
Look at that.
And it's just because of a tiny shift. And so the more that you get perfected, like you're saying in your craft, once you take authenticity and take skill and put them together, the massive changes.
Dude, that's amazing. I love that. There's another analogy similar to that, Braydon, where I heard like in a horse race. Now these numbers might not be perfectly accurate, but if you have two, like the guys that race horses around the track, like the prize money for those guys between first place and second place. Again, I could be off, but I'm pretty sure it's in the millions. It's in the millions.
I wouldn't doubt it.
And I think it's somewhere between 2 to 8 million difference. Okay. Yeah. And the difference between first and second place when they win?
An inch.
It's like a freaking nose, dude.
Yeah. Yep.
One little inch, one nose, millions of dollars in difference.
Totally.
It's wild.
Totally.
So I think one thing we could extract here for the audience is how can we collect these? I like calling it collecting wins. And I program my mind. I write these down every day. Call me fanatical, but I write them down to start thinking in a positive way.
Yeah.
rather than just writing down, I write down my goals, targets, and then I write down things the wins, especially the big ones. So I get my mind thinking of, we got positive energy. But what are ways that other people, sales reps, anybody can, sales reps especially though, and maybe entrepreneurs, how can they start building up their confidence? Say they're at a low point, or they've lost momentum, or they've lost motivation. How can they start building up this system that we're talking about to start winning more?
Well, the first thing that I'll say before answering your question is, when you were doing that, I was watching, and like, you were such a light in my life at that time, because I would watch you and I would literally see you write down your wins for the day, and you'd have your checklist and then you'd have your wins. And I remember walking away from those experiences being like, man, first, Nick's the man. And two, he's setting such a good example of seeing the good in yourself. Because I think something that does happen in sales, and I'm so grateful for you that you weren't this way, is that we get so caught up in, I got to do this and go do this and go knock the next door and go knock the next door, that taking the 15 seconds to be like, man, that was awesome. I did that. Yeah. You were a huge example to me during that time in my life, and I couldn't be more grateful. So thank you. Thanks, Braydon. First of all.
Yeah, man.
And the second thing is, what's really interesting is I was working with one of Brendan Burchard's high performance coaches, and I was crushing it. I went through like 6 weeks of this program. I felt like I was on cloud 9, like just doing better than I ever have done in my life at that point. And I remember going to my coach that day and I said, I'm doing all these things. I recognize that I'm more efficient, more happy, and more successful than I think I've ever been in my life, but I feel like crap. And he's like, interesting. And we sat there and we discussed for a second. He said, well, Braydon, what are the questions that you're asking yourself? And I was like, well, I go sit down with my journal. I say, what do I need to do better at? What do I need to fix? How do I need to be better? Is there anything that I'm doing wrong? And he's like, interesting. So you mean to tell me that the last thing that you're thinking about at night is all the things you're not doing? He said, when have you started to ask yourself what you have been doing? And it was from that experience I came up with this concept. It's called self-designed voter fraud. Now that Trump's back in the elections, and again, not to be political, but there's going to be voter fraud that comes up. Yeah. Voter fraud in its simplest form is a party adding or taking away votes. Okay. Meaning they're rigging the election because they're adding and taking away votes. Yeah. And a couple of years ago, 4 years ago, when this first thing had started to happen, there was rumors that one person was taking votes away from the other person, thus rigging the election. But how often do we take away all of the positive votes for ourselves and only count the negative votes? Interesting. We are all committing voter fraud in our own lives because we're not allowing equilibrium to say, hey, you know what? That wasn't very good, but I did do A, B, C, and D. We're completely counterbalancing the votes for ourselves by looking at all the things that we need to do better at if we're not acknowledging the things that we're already doing good.
Wow. It's gold, dude.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dude, it's amazing that, there's always, we've heard the glass is half full, half empty. And I like to use the analogy, the glass could be 10% full, 90% empty, but it's still 10% full. What you give focus to and energy and thought towards usually expands.
Totally.
And it's like an equation. And so focusing and putting energy towards the little wins, dude, it could be the fact that, hell, like, let's say somebody slept in 5 minutes past the alarm. Well, the next day make it 4.
Sure. Yeah.
Dude, you keep that up, you're going to be waking up early. You know what I mean? It's the little things. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits with, if you're a fat loser and you're struggling, you have no motivation, just, if you set a goal to go to the gym and do cardio for an hour and a half, he's probably not going to do it, Rather, just go to the gym, be there for 10 minutes, just sit down, just show up at the gym.
100%.
And then the next day, and then just keep going, just build the habit of going out there. And eventually, hey, I'm here, might as well work out, and you start building that muscle, that discipline. So I always refer to this, like sales, your mind is it's like it being, you go up or you go down. There's no coasting. So it's like, imagine being on a bike. If you stop pedaling, gravity is going to bring you down. It's a beautiful thing, right? But you have to pedal to go up. It takes active, like positive self-talk and focus on the wins, collecting things. It doesn't happen passively. If you're trying to just let it like happen passive, it ain't going to happen. Your mind's going to default towards negativity, especially, this is not just for salespeople, but especially for salespeople. There's so much negativity, so much crap thrown at us.
Totally.
So you have to resell yourself on what you're selling and then resell you. Like, recalibrate physically, mentally. Like we've learned from our mentorship, like literally get up and do push-ups. You know, there's dopamine that gets released in the brain. Cold plunges, my man is a huge fan of. Or you got like cocaine plunge addict over here, like free cocaine,
I love it.
no withdrawals. So yeah, I love that, man.
What's interesting too is just with this whole concept that we're talking about is, do you know how they capture monkeys?
No, I don't know how they capture monkeys, dude. Enlighten me how they capture monkeys.
They get a box and they stick a banana in the box.
Okay.
And the monkey reaches his hand in, and because of the way that he has a fist, he can't get back through the hole.
Oh.
And it's because he's so hell-bent on getting the banana that he's literally stuck in the box.
They got him.
And it's not even the banana.
Yeah.
It's just that he himself is stuck in the box for having a freaking fist. The same as with self-development. So often we have such a little thing like a banana, and we think about it and we go after it. And because our attention and time and focus is there, we get stuck in a box.
Yeah.
And all we need to do is let go. Or just change a little bit of perspective to be able to move forward.
Dude, that's amazing. So one thing I've been like a mantra I've been on lately has been investing in yourself. And I've been living this myself, and I can see it paying exponential rewards in every way. And it compounds and it builds permanently. You could wipe all my assets, all my people, all my companies, everything, delete it, and I know I can rebuild it. That's the beauty of personal development. And so imagine doing that at different levels, from like 100K to 500K to 1 million to 10 million and so on and so forth. There's skills that you have to develop. You and I are both well connected with people who know money and investing, like very well connected. And I'd argue that you are better connected than I am. And with that being said, I'm taking a gamble here, but I think I know what you'd say this. And I'm kind of trying to tee it up for you to say it. But with sales reps making sub $100,000 a year, if they had to invest $10,000 into like real estate or assets like that, or Roth IRAs, whatever, or I already know you're not going to say that, but or like personal development, which like coaching, mentorship, stuff like that. Because most don't think that. I wasn't trained when I was in my early 20s to invest in myself like that. It was like read books, you know, but these are cheap and they're great. They're amazing. But extracting, implementing, and doing it at a high level and being surrounded and having proximity with big people is a different level I've seen. So what's your advice to people making less than $100,000 where to put their money?
Yeah, you know what? Tony Robbins just talked about this, and the answer inevitably is self-development. And the reason being, Dolph DeRouche just talked about this. I just had a podcast with him as well. But the reason being is take temperature.
What's his net worth?
Dolph DeRouche?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Over multiple million, right?
Oh, yeah.
Over 10?
He's done single corporate deals over $1 million.
Okay, cool. So he knows money. Okay, keep
yeah,
going.
He knows money. And he would argue the same thing. He actually started in personal development. With Dolph's story is actually, this is fun. We'll just talk about Dolph for a second because I just had an interview with him. Yeah. When he started to teach how to do corporate real estate, he taught how to do the corporate real estate. And I can't remember the numbers, and forgive me, Dolph, but there was like a 40 or 50% success rate of people. Actually, could have been less than that. It was less than 50% of people walking away from his course being successful. When he shifted to doing mindset with people, he had like a 99% success rate.
Unreal.
And the reason being is if well, let's just take temperature. If you're a 70-degree person, and you start to perform at an 80-degree, so like you're a 70-degree person in your thoughts, beliefs, the character, all that you are, and you go have a kick butt summer, and you're operating at an 80%, what's going to happen after that summer?
You'll level back out.
You're going to go back to 70%. So the reason that self-development is so crucial is you need to go find 80% people or 80 degrees people to be able to go have them heat you up to be an 80-degree person. Then go find a 90-degree person. Then get leveled up to a 90-degree person.
Dude,
and
so great.
When Dolph had shared this, because I asked him, I asked a similar question. I said, what if you don't know your value yet? And he says, then you're not hanging around the wrong people. You're hanging around the wrong people.
Dude, and this is the issue for most people is they like, this is foreign. They're like, these guys are nuts. They're trying to sell something, right? And I'm preaching from experience. I told you I spent over 180,000 personal development last year, and I plan on doing over $500,000 this year. Why would I do that? Like, I know the game of real estate. I know investing game pretty well, and I'm still doing that. But why would I put so much? Because I see the trajectory with it, and it's amazing. And you have to start somewhere, and it's a gamble. But what better thing to take a gamble on than yourself?
Totally.
You know what I mean? What better thing to gamble on? And I think a lot of people don't have enough belief to actually do that in themselves. And their excuse is that they don't believe in the program or the mentor, the coach, right? Or they'll write it off saying, oh, their life is different. Well, no, duh. But they had to invest with someone else like that was also different. What's your advice to increase that self-belief when it's already, to them it's fine, but as you start leveling up, you realize it's lower. How like, what would you say to that person, Braydon?
That's struggling with self-belief.
Yeah. Like I don't think I'm worth, like, dude, I don't believe it's going to be worth it for me to invest like $5,000. Like, that's crazy. Like, I'm just throwing money away.
Yeah.
Like, in me, no.
Yeah. Well, first thing, this is crazy. But don't spend it and see where you go. The second thing that I would say, the middle ground here, is find a way not to pay for it. Like, I have been able to go hang around people like Chris Crone and Sean Callaghy and Dan Olson and Dolph DeRoos.
I'd pay a lot of money to get around Chris.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been on a plane with Chris flying to Texas. And then I went to Ukraine with him. I didn't pay anything. To go to Ukraine, I didn't pay anything.
You asshole.
I just, well, I was a volunteer and I was working for his staff.
Okay.
And so what I'm trying to get at is, don't pay for it, but go be a team lead. Don't pay for it, but go be a volunteer.
Go add value to
and
them.
You'll recognize pretty freaking quick that I need to be around these people.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where my girlfriend and I, it is not even February, and we have done 2 separate self-development retreats, have flown to California, and tuned into Tony Robbins.
Nice, dude.
It just becomes a way of life because you're constantly just wanting to get more of that leverage.
You got the drug, man.
Oh, yeah. Drink all the Kool-Aid, all the woo-woo.
We're all both druggies on personal development. I love it, man.
Yeah.
We might as well call this episode personal development druggies.
Yep. An addict.
Yeah. We need to go to a 12-step program. I love that. So
here's what I say to you. Sorry, because I just want to make sure I adequately understand your question.
I think you hit it pretty well.
If you don't think it's worth it to invest your money, then really just sit down and write down a diagram of who are you investing your time with and what are you getting out of it. And
like, take inventory on who's in your life and how are they negative. Yeah, you're talking like girlfriends, everybody?
Everything.
I'd say everybody, yeah.
And what's really interesting, and I know that there's going to be some kickback because I felt some kickback for this. You and I were on the plane with Chris when this happened. I looked to Chris and I had said, Chris, I feel like I keep leveling up past people. Like, I feel like I have my circle of 5, and then I get rid of one of the 5 and then add another one, and then I get rid of one and then I add another one, and I don't want to leave people behind. And he said, Braydon, you need to realize that once you're leveling yourself up, you now need to be part of somebody's 5. And so if you don't think it's worth it to go be and level up and be with some people better than yourselves in spirit of self-development, ask yourself the question, are you actually impacting other people's lives in the way that you want to? And if not, you probably need to find some mentorship so that you can level yourself up totally in the spirit of service of others.
I love that, man. I love that.
Thank you.
When people talk about like making more money or personal development or doing stuff like that, they're like, hey, my ambition's kind of capped. Like, I'm good. Dude, I've gotten fired up about this now because I can't operate like that. I can't. I believe that we're all on the planet to do something and impact in some way. More capital, more resources, more training means more opportunities to serve and bless. Now, if you're a complete loser and you want death on everybody and you're just this negative, pessimistic piece of crap, love you, that can change. But if that's you, then I get it, But if you're somebody that actually does have a good heart, wants to do good, wants to impact, you feel called for something more, I believe your creator, God, whatever you want to call, I believe that you need to think differently, and stop thinking about yourself. Think about the impact. That's what drives me, dude, is the impact. And that's where my hunger stems from. And I feel like that's always the greatest people in every way. That's where it stems from.
Yeah.
And so I think people need to tap into that and start thinking more selflessly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a note that I would add too is, like, I think so often we talk about the level of 5 or investing in yourself or putting money into it. Recognize that wealth is only one area of your life. You can go hang around the Grant Cardones, the Chris Crones, the Ed Miletts, the Tony Robbins, the Brendan Burchards of this world.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. Good for you. Go find them. But like, I have been absolutely put into tears by a 30-year-old that really understands breath work and meditation and wrecked me. And she is in my circle of 5.
Look at that.
And so it's not just about finding people that are higher than you in wealth, but higher than you in vibration, higher than you in relationships.
Something that's
anything.
same principle we were talking about. Like in some way, every person is superior to you in that you learn of them.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
everyone.
And one of the things you do so well is like you're always freaking carrying around a notebook and taking notes about anybody that you're with. And it's because you have this level of humility. And I admire this about you, Nick, of, you know what? They could be a 19-year-old kid that has zero idea what they're doing, but they have some little experience in their life that I could learn from.
Yeah.
And if I could just capture what that is, it's all worth it.
Yeah.
And that's something you do so well. And I think that mentality of I can learn from anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brings you so much further.
Dude, it's amazing. When I remember Chris, our mentor, by the way, guys, like this is here's another like living example of somebody who's been mentored by, you know, the same guy as me. And it's amazing seeing what you're doing, dude. Anyways, I remember when I first met him, he had 26 coaches and mentors. I'm like, what the freak? How did he even 26? And he has one specific for all these different spaces in his life. You know, you and I both got proximity to the same fitness coach he had.
Yeah.
And that was a game changer for us. And that's what it's about, is finding people who are superior. And then you can start at low levels, but the people, and as you keep leveling up, the people that are much, much better in those spaces. And again, it doesn't have to be monetarily or wealth, but in the regards of business and sales and training, those usually cost more money, you know. But this is actually something I'm passionate about, because this is part of why I've built Excel, is to change the way salespeople think about themselves, and to make coaching and personal development more accessible to the masses. Because usually it's just like a thing that CEOs and sales executives do. Guys that have tons of money is, well, no duh, they go, look how much money they're making, you know? And so I'm like, man, if I can just get these guys to catch the fever that we have, like, you know, of the personal development drug, the addiction, they'll get hooked. And you get hooked on the impact. You see it changing you, and you see it inspiring other people. Totally. And it's an amazing, and inspiring other people is selling, it's recruiting, it's building organizations, it's collaborations, it's service, it's whatever you want it to be. So again, hopefully you're a good person. Otherwise, delete it. Don't listen to this.
Right.
That's what Sean always says. Like, I'm going to teach you stuff that's like insanely powerful. If you're a bad person, just leave the room.
Yep. Yeah. Cause it could be used for both.
Yeah.
And that's actually something you and I talked about when we were doing Breakthrough, that I had this realization of, like, once you learn how to do Breakthrough and walk somebody through a process of recognizing a limiting belief and helping them change it, being a facilitator, I'm not doing anything. I'm just walking them through a process. But I have the ability, because I have to, in Breakthrough, to make somebody cry in 15 minutes, easy, maybe 10. If I'm really lucky, 5.
Dude,
that's
I'm not
horrible.
a crier. You get me within like 7 minutes.
And the only reason I say this is not because I'm proud of making people cry, but that's an evil skill. If I can go around finding people's weak points just like that, but why not use it for the good? Yeah, man. You know, if I can help somebody recognize that's a weak point, I want to be able to help them be better. Yeah, dude. And you know, like, we got the mentorship of Sean Callagy saying integrous influence. Yep. Dude, that's like a huge thing for me, is people looking at sales, be like, I'm not a salesman. What they're saying is, oh, I don't want to like strong arm people into deals. And it's this complete fallacy. Like, I'm not a good salesperson. Like, I see people say all the time, and you don't have to be in sales. Like, my girlfriend's an amazing person, entrepreneur, everything. Like, she has said this limiting belief. And guess what I did? I called her out. I said, no, you need to not say that, because if you believe in something, and like, if you want to influence people to do something good, that's selling them. Totally. There's nothing evil about that. Right. In fact, it's actually a good thing. If I have the cure to cancer, I always talk about the cure to cancer. We got it. I'd be an asshole if I didn't try to sell it to you. Yep. Right. Yep. So perspective, right? It's just completely different. Yeah. And even if we just take the word salespeople out of it, like, everybody's influential. There you go. And I think that's why I like what Sean teaches so much, is everybody's influencing somebody for something. Yeah. You know, and that is sales. Yeah. I just taught a public speaking course this morning, and really marketing is just learning how to speak in a way to make people buy. That's it. Period. That's it, yeah. Whether you're a speaker, whether you're a coach, you're just selling somebody on helping them love themselves. And I'll ask for grace, because it's not me selling them. It's helping themselves sell themselves. It's facilitation. But whether you're a coach or a speaker or a salesperson or an influencer or a social media person, everybody's using sales skills, whether or not they want to admit it. Dude, you want to know something wild? You know what one thing that the greatest salespeople and the greatest coaches and the greatest facilitators for Breakthrough all have in common? What is it?
It's their ability to ask questions.
Totally. Undoubtedly.
I mean, is that not breakthrough?
It is. There's 9 questions you can ask.
The best recruiters, the best business leaders. And then also we have, your life is measured by the questions you ask, the quantity and the quality and the frequency.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
And so, but I think that's just a fascinating principle that, you are here is like a master of breakthrough, of like flipping people around, like you're Tony Robbins' future prodigy, dude. And
I don't know about that.
Well, I'll give you some time, dude. I see it. And then, I know sales pretty well. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You don't have to control them or tell them like word vomit. Everybody thinks it's just word vomit on them. It's the opposite. Let them talk it out. You just guide it.
Yeah.
But you got to know your stuff to be able to guide conversations, to ask the right questions,
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I want to talk to you about a little bit of the questions of breakthrough. And then also coaches. Let's actually bench one. Let's talk about coaches real quick, because you've had that perspective. What is the advantage of just a regular salesperson having a coach?
Oh my gosh.
And this is fascinating from your perspective, because you've coached people with not even like they're a better technically salesperson on statistics. Statistics would say that they're a better salesperson than you, but yet you've coached them. So yeah, I'm really excited to hear your feedback.
Yeah. You know what? I won't obviously just for names, but I was just telling you before I came in here, I had a very high level sales leader come to me and just be like, Braydon, help me through this thing, period. I think all salespeople, they're crazy good at sales. That doesn't mean that they're good at self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that you're not, but they're not good at having a positive mindset. They're not good at shifting their perspective. And again, I'm not claiming that they're not, and I'm not going to go and say, because you guys suck at A, B, C, and D. Absolutely not. I 100% believe everyone is so empowered to do incredible things. Sometimes it just takes a person just shifting and helping them do a little bit better. For example, we're talking about coaching and sales, but like I go to the gym every day for at least an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's just part of my routine. It's just something that I love. I go sit in the sauna, I lift weights or whatever. I hired a coach to help me prepare for this half Ironman that I'm doing, and he's kicking my trash. And the only difference between what I was doing and what he has to offer is accountability and just making sure that I actually am integrous to myself. That's it. Like he'll just be like, hey dude, like you're not sticking to your nutrition. You're like, frick, you're right. That's it.
Yeah.
He sent me a text and it's been worth everything because I'm actually sticking to the plan that I set out to do. Same thing with my workouts. Hey dude, like I noticed you didn't get to this level on the workout like you were supposed to. 15 words. And he is more than worth $400, $500, $600 a month or whatever I'm paying him for him to just send a couple of text messages and a couple of calls to be like, you're doing really well or you're not.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing happens with coaches, specifically with mindset and sales reps. It's just having that person that's rooting for you. Because I love sales managers, and this might be a really bad place to talk about this.
But this is great.
They have alternative motivations, whether or not they want to admit it.
Yeah.
They need you to succeed to make money.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's the structure.
It is.
And everybody wants to be in that place. That's corporate America.
Yeah.
You level up so that you can earn more money because you've been somewhere else. Anyways, the benefit of a coach is I don't care if you do well or not. I just care whether or not you're excelling.
Nice.
Whether that's in sales or in your life.
Yep. You use the word excel. Yep. I love it, dude.
Shameless plug.
So you mentioned accountability. That's huge. Now, you have a team leader. These guys are hounding you every day to hit your stats, your KPIs, your numbers, your calls, your doors, your presentations, whatever it is, daily, weekly. What's the difference with having that and then having a coach? Like, because I've personally seen other guys perform at higher levels having their own coach on top of the leader. Yeah. What's your take on that?
The story that comes to mind is I was coaching somebody last summer and they weren't hitting numbers, and their manager, and again, I love managers. I think good leadership, good managers are absolutely essential. I don't want what I just said.
No, it doesn't discredit.
To be against managers.
No, it doesn't discredit.
But they were saying, I need you to go X amount of doors. I need you to go talk to X amount of people. I need you to have X amount of conversation, X amount of sales. Great. Beautiful structure. Yeah. Awesome. Can that kid even get up in the morning and go to the first door? Are we having those kind of conversations with our sales reps?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Not a lot. And a lot of times, to be completely honest, those sales managers, if we're looking just at logistics and just looking at the monetary value, them spending the extra hour to go help that sales rep rather than going and focusing what they're good at, which is sales training, is not worth their time.
Right.
So it's more benefit to both the leader and to the sales rep to go have an outside coach that's making sure that you're waking up correctly, that you have the good routine in the morning, that you're integrous with yourself, that because most guys don't get out until 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
What in the world's happening between the time you wake up till when you get on the doors?
Exactly.
That's where a coach comes in.
Yep.
I'm going to make sure that you're ready to do what your manager wants you to do rather than telling you what you should do on the doors.
That's amazing, dude. Well said. I think there's also another level of transparency where they don't feel that it's like almost like a business therapist, you know, where they'll open up to them, and just the fact of them spilling out their crap helps them address it and own it.
Totally.
Which is step one, is, you know, extreme ownership. And so I think it prones them to receive more mentorship and level up faster because of that principle. And then there's something beautiful about, and this is, you know, this is not taking a job on all the coaches, but I tell our coaches at Excel, I mean, these are high level guys that made hundreds of thousands per month in sales and run companies and businesses and massive teams. And I say, guys, even if you didn't have the success, you could be coaching companies and guys making millions. And it's not about you being more successful than them. It's just you have this different lens because you're not attached to the monetary success there. Mm-hmm. And it's like the salesperson who goes into a deal where if he doesn't close that deal, he's not feeding his family, versus the salesperson who's making tons of money goes in that deal. Like this guy will sell a lot better, and he'll listen better. He'll understand, empathize. He'll create win-wins, where this guy's going to be like just telling all the pros, you know, all the omitting the cons. And so there's that level of transparency and just that perspective where you're in the trenches, your team leader's out there in the trenches with you in the battlefield. The coach has a different perspective. You can see, you know, the pitfalls. And then they're also coaching multiple people, so they catch on trends. And so I'm rambling here.
No, please keep going.
But what I've also noticed is good coaches will track all the stats. Like we track stats for months, years prior. And then even before we even coach, we don't even allow people to pay us unless we know exactly where they've been. And I've learned this from mistake, because if you don't have what gets measured gets improved. So if you don't have a measurement, how can we improve? How can I coach you?
Yeah.
So it helps them get clarity. And I can tell you, like, so few people actually know exactly what they've done metric wise. And then also what they want to do. It's so vague. Coaching helps you get clarity on that, what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are, and then helps you reverse engineer, break down into micro actions, which Tony Robbins, master coach, says of all the people he's trained, athletes, entrepreneurs, salespeople, like the great of greats, he said it's the number one correlating theme is it's their ability to take a massive goal and break it down to these like bite-sized chunks.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. And even just to add on to that, a few things. I like how you talked about measurement and how it's so essential. And I've been mentoring with Brendan Burchard just through some of his different channels and books and apps and stuff like that, and masterminds and stuff like this. But
what's his app called?
Growth Day.
Yeah. So far, you're liking it?
Love it.
Dude, I love that.
Get Growth Day.
Yeah.
Okay. If you get it right now, I get nothing from it.
Yeah, I know.
The reason that I like it is because he asks questions that nobody would think to ask. He asks questions like, on a scale from 1 to 5, how clear were you about today? On a scale from 1 to 5, how courageous were you today? On a scale from 1 to 5, how much of an influence were you to other people today? And he's done all of these studies, and he talks about it in High Performance Habits and his Motivation Manifesto. But he has you look at your life as how you showed up rather than what you did. And we very rarely do that. We very rarely look at it from a perspective of, how did I show up as a salesperson today? Because I could go knock 150 doors and still show up 50%. But if I ask myself, did I actually show up 100% today? Like, did I have courage? Did I go out? Was I integrous to myself? And I say, well, no, then it doesn't matter how many doors I knocked. It could be 500 and it could be 10.
Yeah.
But it's developing that honesty with yourself of, I showed up based off of how I was going to show up, based off of my intention rather than based off the goal. And I would argue 100% of the time, once you're focused on intention and how you're showing up, you blow your goals out of the water.
Why do you think that is?
Momentum, I think, is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because if I show up saying I'm going to be energetic, I'm going to give it my all, I'm not going to quit until X PM.
Yeah.
Then you're going to do way more than you thought you could do.
Yeah.
I think even in the door-to-door world, I've just said, you know what? I'm going to not stop for 2 hours. I'm going to go for 2 hours. I'm not going to stop. And before I might have set a goal that I'm going to hit 50 doors, but in 2 hours I've hit 75. And it's because I've shifted my goal from something that's subjective and something that's fixed into no, I'm just going to spend the time because that's who I am.
Who I am.
Who I am.
Yeah. Dude, it's identity-based goals.
James Clear.
Yeah. It's the same thing. When you can attach it to your identity. So if somebody's like, hey, I want to make $500,000. It's like, no, like versus get a golden door. Your chance of getting a golden door award, if that's your focus, is greater than make $500,000. Because like be the dude who make $500,000, like, you know, most people aren't going to associate that well with that. But if you can create an identity behind what you're doing. So instead of going to the gym, I'm becoming an athlete. You are doing a not triathlon, but half Ironman, dude. Yeah. Savage. Yeah. So it's amazing. I want to transition here, Braydon, and then wrap up. But with breakthrough, going back to the questions, like walk me through the best, because I know it can go multiple ways. Like you ask one question and then it can go, depending on what they say, it can go multiple ways. But is there a general framework that you follow?
100%.
Okay. Can we break that down?
Yeah. And this can be something that's used today. So there's 9 steps. I'm hoping I can remember them all off the top of my head.
Yeah.
The first step is to ground.
Okay.
So a lot of times this involves closing your eyes, taking a big deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, making sure that you're just present.
Okay.
Because oftentimes, like, do not be texting on your phone. Don't have a laptop up. Don't be driving. Like, if you're about to do some work, give yourself the time to do some work.
Okay.
Then the first question, super difficult, super easy, is what is the number one limiting belief that comes up for you? That's it.
Okay.
I could actually, as you're listening to this right now, be performing a breakthrough, somebody listening to this podcast, and I'm not even getting feedback from them. That first team that I led of 15 people, we went through these 9 steps, and all it was a meditation. I just had them all close their eyes. By the end of it, at least 60% of them were crying and had some kind of realization, and I got no feedback from them.
Look at that.
So that's how powerful these steps are.
Okay.
First step. So grounding. What's your limiting belief? Very intuitive. When you hear the words of this limiting belief, what is the first or strongest moment that comes up for you? So if the belief is I'm stupid, what's the first memory that comes to mind when it's stupid?
Experiential memory.
It can't. Okay. No, perfect. And don't make it logical.
Okay.
Don't be, well, when do I think it was? Just let an answer come up. That's the hardest part. Just be intuitive.
Okay.
Sometimes it's whack. They come out of nowhere. Once you have discovered, okay, that is the moment that it happened, then you explore the memory. So be able to actually put yourself back into the memory and then ask yourself, what is the decision I made about me? Because what's funny is if my first limiting belief was that I'm stupid and the memory is that I was shamed by a teacher, it wasn't that I was stupid in the moments. I'm not enough. My friends think I'm silly, like I'm disowned. I don't fit in.
Okay.
A lot of new things come up for you.
Yeah.
Then you come back out and you evaluate the cost. So, okay, if that decision that I made, if I'm not worth it, what's the cost that's happening in my life? Is this showing up for me now? And if it is showing up, is it worth it?
Yeah.
And the reason that this point is so crucial is because once you're able to actually sit down and be like, you know what, I've been telling myself I'm not deserving of love. Is it serving me? No, it's not.
Yeah.
How's it showing up? Can't get a date. How's it showing up? I'm always super frustrated with my friends. Geez, is that worth it? No.
Well, dude, we're more motivated by fear of pain than we are desire for gain.
Totally.
That's how we're wired.
Totally.
So that's not what you're activating here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what it's doing is it's bringing your subconscious to the conscious, and you're actually asking yourself, do I want this in my life? I've been carrying it around, but do I want it?
Yeah.
Because it's not working. And then once you do that, then you go into the 6th step, was permission to change. So, okay, I give myself permission to move on. Then you go back into the memory. And as you're back into that memory, then you invite a trusted support. So if I were to go back into that memory and before I made any changes, who would show up for me? And just let it be authentic. Whether it's God, whether it's a friend, whether it's you in the future, who would show up for me? And then you, after you've decided who's going to show up for you, then you get to create new beliefs. New beliefs being powerful, positive, and present. I am good. I am smart. I am present. I am loved. I am worthy. I'm proud of me, whatever it may be. Creating new beliefs. And then the 9th step is...
Why is that important real quick? Hold on.
The new beliefs? The powerful, positive, present?
Yeah.
Because you're rewriting your story. And a lot of times when you have that trusted support come in, it allows you to see things differently. One of my favorite things that Tony Robbins had done on an intervention, you can go watch it. It's I'm Not Your Guru on Netflix. He's sitting down with the girl. The limiting belief is that I'm not healthy, so I need to take better care of my body. Then somehow Tony Robbins said, well, where did this come from? Well, it came from my dad. Well, why did it come from your dad? Well, my dad wasn't really present. He wasn't really there. Interesting. When your dad wasn't there, how did you feel? I'm not loved. We just went from, okay, I need to be fit because I'm not fit to I'm not loved.
Crazy.
The memory was all of the things that her dad had done to her life. Going back into the memory, Tony Robbins was able to ask her, let's just imagine for a second, your dad was a different human being. Would that have affected who you were? And the mom and her started to sob, and they were like, absolutely. And she's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, I had to be resilient. I had to be independent. I had to be go-getting because my dad was not present in my life. He's like, interesting. So instead of blaming your dad, how about you thank your dad? Because if he wasn't the man that he was supposed to be, you wouldn't be the person you are today. Mm. Now, with all of that being said, what he's done is unforgivable. But what's also unforgivable if you weren't as powerful as you are now because of it. And so the new beliefs is stepping into that new realization of, wait a second, I needed to be more graceful to myself, or this is the things that I didn't realize when I was that young, or this is what I'd rather believe in those moments. And it's really just taking that opportunity to say, no, I'm not going to go back to that memory anymore and think that negative thought. I'm going to move forward with these new beliefs and perception.
It's amazing, dude.
Thank you.
So that last step there was the last step after
that's number 8. And then the last step is, what's the next step?
What's the next step? Okay.
And I love being intuitive. Like, okay, now that you have these new beliefs, what is the thing that you haven't been doing that you know you need to do? And then step into it.
Nice. Dude, it's gold.
I love it.
Dude, guys, go back. I'd re-listen to that and actually write those down, because I've seen what this has done for very high level people and people at all levels. And it's amazing. This is not a business thing. It's not a sales thing. This is, you're a human being. We all have struggles, limiting beliefs. And, it starts from the questions we ask ourselves, right? Our life is measured. And so if you're wondering what questions to ask, these are the questions.
These are the questions.
These are the questions that create superhumans and that create the most influential people, the greatest salespeople, the greatest entrepreneurs, the greatest sales leaders. So, dude, thank you. It's been an honor having you. I love you.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming, dude.
Yeah, thank you.